And we start then in Ukraine with the latest on the fighting in the Donbas. Around 500 civilians are thought to be trapped in a chemical plant in the city of Severodonetsk, which is under heavy fire. Russia says it is willing to coordinate evacuations of civilians from there, but only to a separatist-controlled region of the country. The Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has continued to characterize those battles for the Donbas as crucial, saying fighting in Severodonetsk and its twin city of Lysychansk will determine the course of the war. For more, here's our senior reporter Catherine Norris-Trent in Kyiv.
Well, the battle continues around the town of Severodonetsk in the Donbas there, as it has done for several weeks now. Very fierce fighting has been reported in recent days. Intense shelling, particularly around this area, around the Azot chemical plant, where it's now reported by British military intelligence as well that civilians and Ukrainian soldiers are holed up. Now, there had been talk reported by the Interfax news agency of a Russian proposition for a humanitarian corridor this morning. That hasn't been commented on or confirmed by authorities here in Ukraine, it has to be said, and there's very little word that's confirmed on what's taken place with that humanitarian corridor. As far as we're aware, the combats are continuing, and we've seen in the past with the question of humanitarian corridors the difficulty of negotiating those. In the past, Ukraine has accused the Russian army of firing on humanitarian corridors and evacuations of civilians. That's something that has been documented throughout the months of this war, and so lots of people remain very skeptical about that. And it would have been a humanitarian corridor only going into now Russian-occupied parts of the Luhansk Oblast or region. So for people wanting to escape into Ukraine, that wouldn't have been a very easy option. And of course, the three bridges there into Severodonetsk have collapsed, have been damaged. And so evacuations are very, very tricky indeed and have to be taken place to Ukraine just in pauses in the shelling, and it's very dangerous.
Catherine, meanwhile, a UN commission looking into war crimes is wrapping up one of its investigations this week. But it was only a few days ago that yet more bodies were uncovered at a mass grave in Bucha. You witnessed that exhumation yourself. What more can you tell us?
This independent commission of inquiries, it's called, from the UN, gave a preliminary update today in Kyiv. They've been on the ground for just under 10 days. They've been going in the field themselves in Kyiv, but also in places like Bucha and Irpin and cities like Kharkiv in the northeast and Sumy in the north, trying to see for themselves the evidence they can gather, the witness accounts they can gather, as well as speaking to Ukrainian officials, members of parliament and the judiciary. Now, today they were just setting out their mission, and they said that what they've seen on the ground would seem to support claims that there have been attacks that constitute war crimes and crimes against humanity, but they were putting a lot of conditional words in there because they said they simply need more time to accumulate evidence that's solid, that's impeccable, irreproachable in the eyes of the law. And there was a little frustration, it has to be said, especially from some of the Ukrainian journalists at the press conference, saying that why isn't Russia being more widely condemned? At the moment, people are talking about it as if it's similar to a parking fine or akin to a parking fine. And the people at the Commission rejected that, saying this isn't the case. We're taking it very seriously, but we need more time. They're not due to report back finally in a written report until March next year.